Amateur Girl and Fanboy present the Big Bad Glass movie review.
Why is the Sundance Movie Studio so important? Stick around to the end of the video to find out.
Hi, welcome back to our channel. Please subscribe, smash that button, point to it. Yep. I'm Genevieve, and this is my brother Gary, and we like to review movies. So this week we are going to be reviewing WILDCAT, a documentary.
Yes, WILDCAT on Prime, documentary on Prime. I don't know if I think it was produced by. I think it was originally produced through Sundance, and then Prime got it as a distribution. So anyway, I'll comment on it after my sister comments on it. It was her suggestion.
Yeah. So I watched it. I came across, I like watching documentaries that are connected to nature. It kind of fills my soul. And this one didn't disappoint. It was not just about nature, but also about the human condition. So I loved it. I loved seeing the relationship between Samantha and Harry. Is it Harry? Yeah. Samantha and Harry? Yeah. And immediately, though, seeing how he's struggling with mental illness, I knew that she had some issues. I'm like, this girl's got some childhood issues, and then they talked about it later on, because you're not going to be attracted to a person like that if you don't have some trauma that's happened in your own life. And so, yeah, there was definitely some trauma that happened in her life. Very, very sad. What a wonderful human being both of them are, though, especially Samantha. She's an incredible person, so I can't wait to see what she does for conservation.
Oh, they went over that at the very end. You could see what she's doing.
But I feel like she's probably done even more since then.
Mm-hmm.
And then he as a person, I think I really respect him for knowing that he was struggling and then looking for something to help him, but also helping the world. I mean, not the world, but this helping conservation and helping this animal, Keanu. And it was very sad, though. I mean, I didn't expect what was going to happen in the beginning with the first cat they tried to reintroduce into the wild. So, and then just trauma with the war. He was in Afghanistan.
So he had double trauma.
Yeah. Just heartbreaking. And then the fact that he was so authentic, because he didn't have to be so authentic, and he really was. I did watch a little bit of an interview with the producers, and I don't know if you call them directors, but they talked about how they've met them.
Documentary filmmakers.
So initially, that was in the very beginning, the first few months with the first cat, Khan, I think it was. What was it? The first? I can't remember.
I think so. Yeah, Khan. I think so. Yeah.
So that was their own footage that they actually had, and they were just really surprised and pleasantly surprised that they had such quality filmmaking skills that they could use for the remainder of the film when they introduced the next cat, Keanu. And they were just pleasantly surprised to have that footage. The fact that they were just so raw, they weren't holding anything back, and I really respected that, especially when he was talking to his little brother about cutting.
Mm-hmm.
He was so open about what he was going through. I mean, I think that's kind of important for his little brother to sort of see what his. I mean, it's awful, but also to know
don't join the military. That's a good.
Yeah. Right.
Good advice right from the start, right?
Seriously. So
unless you're
I loved the entire thing. So,
mm-hmm.
And then just seeing what it's like in the jungle. I mean, I would love to think that I could go and
No, you can come here. We'd be in the jungle in 10 minutes.
No, there's no way I would.
But you can always go back to your luxury hotel after your foray into the jungle.
But he's literally 5 hours it's like a 5-hour car ride just to travel just to where he's at. And there's no town 5 hours from where they are at to reintroduce this.
Well, he was
is it
for
ocelot?
him, he was the it seemed like it'd be easier for him because he's trained military and he's used to living in that kind of, and he's young,
Oh.
and she was young too. But I mean, she's the one who kind of like is really out of her element, being just the academic, and but I guess she's gotten used to it, and she's just as capable as he is in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But she got to go back. She got to go back to Seattle every once in a while.
She did, but she's
still
finished
out in the
her
jungle.
doctorate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like probably now she brings in people that are able to rescue all these other animals, and super inspiring. Wish I could be a person like that. There's no way, but
You
I think
can.
it's probably my Oh my God, please. I'd be terrified.
Not terrified.
Terrified.
Anyway, let me go over just a real brief synopsis of it, because people might not even know what we're talking about. Is this that an ex-soldier, British soldier, and he joined the military very, very young, right out of high school, I guess, 18. So young. I mean, I mean, that's what we're used to anyway. I mean, Vietnam, and I think Iraq and Afghanistan, American soldiers, I'm sure there's a lot of young ones, but a lot of them are kind of old, or older. But during the Vietnam War, so many young guys went over there and, and got killed and wounded and everything. So the trauma from these wars is just terrible. And so he's going through all that PTSD, and he decides to, I don't know how he decided. Do you remember how he got caught up in this? How he decided to become a volunteer? Somehow he ended up in the Peruvian Amazon, and he met the girl, and then maybe she kind of got him, and he volunteered to train the ocelot to be released into the wild.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, you can look at the parallels. It's kind of like, the wildcat. He's kind of wild, and the wildcats are wild. But his problem was he was. It always goes back to civilization, right? He was a product of civilization, and so who knows what happened in the war. He talked about it a little bit, but from my experience, most combat veterans, they don't like talking about what happened. They're just traumatized. But in public, or even with their families, probably not even with their therapists, they have a very difficult time talking about what really went on in their terror, during their combat situations. So, but he explored it a little bit. So that's completely understandable, right? And anybody with a conscience is going to be disturbed, I'm sure, for the rest of their lives. A true wild man would not lose any sleep at all. I mean, there are soldiers like that. They feel that they've been justified in what they're doing. They're not going to lose any sleep over it, right? But this guy was a very nice person, and he was very visibly disturbed about what went on, and he was trying to find a way to redeem himself, to do something he thought was right. And so, like, when he lost the first cat, he just felt, terrible at all this time he's wasted, and da 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 da. So that's why they moved further inland or further up the river, get further away from civilization, because all the trappings of civilization are a real problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And around them, they're cutting down the forest, so the deforestation of the Amazon is going on. So there's a lot of hard themes in this film, right? So I thought it was very good. I'm glad you recommended it. I didn't really know. I said, when you watching some ocelot walk around the forest for 2 hours, I mean, what is this? I'm not a particular fan of animal shows unless they're very short. But this one had a lot of, as like I always say, had a lot of meat to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of thought-provoking things going on. And they're both trauma, victims of trauma, as we probably all are to a certain extent. And they're trying to find a way to overcome, their trauma through helping the animals in the wild. So,
but 27 shots. What did she say? Like, every night her dad was do 20.
That's a lot of shots. He meant to talk about you stumbling drunk. I'm
Yeah.
surprised he was still standing after about the 5th shot, right? I can
Yeah.
take one shot and I'll be like stumbling down the stairs and hitting my head and everything. So yeah, I don't do a lot of drinking. So yeah, it's crazy.
That poor girl.
The poor girl, right? Anyway, so that was I thought it was a very good movie. I'm gonna give it about a big glass review, about 90%. That's my review. And yours?
I agree, 90%. Just
Yeah,
because I really wish they had like done a tracker on that ocelot.
Oh, I thought the same thing too. I said, why don't you put a tracker on it? And then you can like follow it around on your computer, see where the hell it is, instead of trying to go out and hook them. I wonder why that never came up, and they didn't even talk about it or anything, but it came into my head too. And I know they do that to the mountain lions around California. They're always tracking them. They know where they've been and when they die or something's going on, right? They do it to the wolves in Wyoming and Montana. If you've been watching Yellowstone, they got a whole couple episodes on that. But the wolves being, with the trackers on. So yeah, is there something that that we don't understand about the tracking? I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do that. So I said tag that cat.
I know. Tag that cat.
Tag that cat, and you can even after it's released into the wild as a wildcat, you can still follow it for years till till whatever. But it was uplifting, even though it was, there was some dark moments in it. But the kid who's becoming older, of course, now he's back in, I watched the ending, he's back in Ecuador, I think. So I don't want to give away too much, spoiler alert. So I would just suggest that you watch it. This is a very good movie about PTSD and working with animals in the wild.
Yes.
And wildcats in particular, the ocelots in particular.
Loving your shirt tonight, Gary.
Oh, you loving my shirt? Yeah, this is the golf shirt because you don't want to get hit in the head with a ball, so they can see you from far, far away, right? That's the reason it's so bright. So yeah. So anyway, nothing else?
Nope, that's all.
Okay, 90%. So that's 90% for Wildcat 2022. Came out December 22. It's on Prime. See it, and remember, when the going gets tough, the tough go to the movies.
Sundance helps independent films find an audience, both at its festival and afterwards.